Hi everyone, I'm Dan Winter. Welcome, welcome. I'm here with Kasia Marek from Poland.
Welcome.
Kasia is a specialist in understanding the magic of birth, and we're going to talk about that. The title of this video is Bringing Soul Memory Through the Vortex of Birth, and it's related to rebirthing. The subtitle of this video is The Magic of the Placenta.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Which is Kasia's specialty. Many of you know me, Dan Winter, fractalfield.com, fractalu.com, and you know that we've been talking about the physics of death being a compression vortex wormhole. We actually know the symmetries that allow memory through death, the Clouvet form constants, goldenmean.info/immortality. Well, I was delighted when Kasia arrived here visiting us from Poland, and she started talking about her work with birth and the placenta and helping people really recover memory through birth. Kasia's been doing seminars and workshops and conferences for some years in Poland and helping people reconnect with their soul memory and working with the placenta memory and helping them bring that, instead of a trauma of birth, bring memory through the vortex of the birth. This is related to the concepts that are well known, the concepts of remothering and rebirthing, and Kasia has some beautiful, deeper understandings.
Yes, I was discovering like few more pieces what is very important to know for the woman when she's delivered the babies and how to work them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Kasia has a fabulous Polish accent, and she's going to remember to speak loudly.
Yes, I will. Sorry, I'm a little shy still.
It's okay. It's good. It's good. All good. So the idea here now is I was going to do a short introduction about the science. We know for sure that basically our big picture, at least, is that our gene pool is threatened if we can't really understand what it is to keep the kind of soul memory that connects us together, really having a soul, as we keep being sucked into our machine culture that seems to want to destroy the aura of humans. And a big part of that is understanding how to bring soul memory through birth, actually. So this fits perfectly the big picture of what we've been teaching for years and our theme on our YouTube and Facebook projects, all listed at fractalfield.com. And the specific context here is we have several films which are quite well accepted about the physics of death. We know that if you decide to die as the ancestors would, they would go to a place where magnetic lines cross, and we know that creates a compression, embedding of the longitudinal electromagnetics, which is kind of like DNA radio and druid phone calls, and this pine cones kissing noses where magnetic lines cross create this compression effect, which enables this conjugation through the threshold of Planck into the compressional longitudinal waves which go faster than light, and explain beautifully so much of the physics of druid phone calls, ancestral memories, collective unconscious. So then that fits our science of how to die successfully and why the death visions are electrically contagious, and we've been teaching that for so long, and that the sequence of geometric visions seen at death, the Clouvet form constants, really fit that picture, that to bring that memory through death, you need that electrical black hole. So it's about time we looked at birth and see the tragedy of the misunderstanding of birth as it exists in our Western medical culture, who really don't understand what it is to bring memory through birth.
Yeah, that's true.
And so the medical doctors do kind of all the wrong things.
Kind of, yeah.
Yes, and we don't.
Everything, yeah.
And we don't think that they're evil. We just think they don't understand, and that's what this is about. And we really want to talk about this as science. And in that regard, I wanted to recall the famous literature about underwater birthing. You know that famous film, Caril Daniels, called Water Baby, and the work, I think it was Tchaikovsky, very famous. They documented, and I suggest you research this, that babies born underwater, I mean, they saw these films of the children are, at like 3 months old.
They're just happy.
They're balanced, they can walk a tightrope, and they can dive in the water, and they're like 4 months old. Incredible kids. And this was not subjective. They actually did studies, like, I don't know, some dramatic 30% increase in IQ, and all about underwater birth. Well, where's the physics? And this I want to relate to your work on the placenta. That's why we're doing this intro. So the physics, I believe, is related to something that's well understood in sacrocranial therapy, where they do the spine liquid pump adjustments, and sacrocranial therapists, which is a big part of what we measure with iThrive.com, flameandmind.com, ITHRVE, iThrive.com, where you measure the sacrocranial pump with a simple, inexpensive HRV finger pulse transducer. And Patrick Botti in Belgium is our genius programmer for all those 6 biofeedback apps. So sacrocranial practitioners, in addition to understanding how the spine liquid pump works, which again is the physics of Kundalini, they are famous for working with babies who are just born. And what they do is they adjust the unpacking of the skull bones. Now, classically, if you oversimplify, the classic suture geometry of the skull bones is said to be 12-faced dodecahedron. You know that me. I'm enthused about the perfect packing unpacking, enabled by the stellated dodecahedron, our Star Mother kit, goldenmean.info/kit. So, the point being that contiguity of the curve of compression-decompression is what I believe clearly allows memory through birth. And very specifically, you know, that famous picture of golden ratio in the design of the human uterus that's on our website, and maybe we'll use that as the thumbnail for this video.
Yeah.
But it's very famous about, it's called The Womb with a View, and it's a magazine headline about golden ratio is all over the design of the uterus. Well, that's wonderful. But what they miss, I think, is the actual compression geometry of the birth canal itself. Now, we have talked many times about the reason Caesar, when he murdered the Druids, couldn't feel for them or the land, because cesarean section means he didn't get a birth canal. And that is an old thing we've talked about many times. The book is called Bond of Power by Joseph Chilton Peirce, and I love him, and we knew him well. And it's a perfect introduction to what we're going to talk about here, which is, if you can't bond with mother, you can't bond with the land, and can't bond with the family, and therefore you can't feel for anything. And that's what Kasia is going to be talking about, and I'm only introducing the science here. So the point is that if you have the experience of birth canal, if you make a graph of the change in pressure over time of the perfect birth canal, do you remember that graph we did of the geometry of pressure over time that says love in the Centix literature? So remember, Manfred Klein's was having people touch a finger pressure and say, now feel anger, now feel joy, now feel love. And then he made a graph of the change in pressure over time, and he proved the physics of emotion in the music literature. Beautiful work. And then I took and analyzed the geometry of that, which he didn't, and showed that the anger wave, for example, was at max pressure at 1/7 into duration, perfect destructive interference. Anger, destructive fits. And the joy was 1/6. But love, the point of max pressure weighted in that pressure curve. So if you squeeze someone's arm to say, I love you, or the physics of what says that hug is love is known and measurable. You know, we joked about studying how to do the perfect love hug. Well, the fact is, how do you feel that tingle? So that when you squeeze someone to say, I love you, you tantrically, intuitively wait so that the max pressure is delayed until 0.618 into the duration of that hug. And then you feel that wonderful tingle of it. It's implosive bonding, actually. Well, now think about the birth canal. You see? The whole idea is that you need to bring memory through birth. That's what this is about, bringing soul through birth. And so, I always joke about it's the design of the perfectly designed tomato juicer. And the logo is, you couldn't get a better squeeze. And actually, it's true. If you don't have that contiguous pressurized squeeze when you come through the birth canal, you can't feel the implosion. And it is the conjugate implosion which brings memory through. Because the implosion means all the waves have converged constructively. That's what conjugation is. That's why the birth canal is golden ratio. And that's why you need that slow, gradual, perfect squeeze with the implosive maximum. And that then explains why, when you come out of the birth canal,
You don't remember.
well, if you pop out explosively, your skull is going. Whereas if you come out and the change,
slowly,
exactly.
with the love of the mother and with the pleasure of the birth,
Yeah,
not with the pain.
That's right, and that's what Kasia's going to explain about. You need that pleasure of the mother. The mother. I mean, obviously, many are teaching about you need bliss at childbirth, but specifically, to finish the thought hydraulically here. Remember, this is the science intro.
Yes, it is.
When you emerge, if you're underwater, the change. If you did a graph of the change in pressure over time on the skull, that graph would not have a big sharp bang. No, that graph would be gradual. And so the skull would still be underwater, still be a little squeeze. You remember why they use swaddling clothes in the ancients?
Yeah, and the baby is in the water in the stomach, and it's natural way to
That's
connect
right.
to the water as well.
That's right. The baby's in the water in the stomach, and the compression. So the decompression is slower and more loving.
Yeah, that's true.
So we think that's a big part of the skull bone. The rate of unpacking of the skull bones, if it's contiguous and not discontinuous, which is to say there's no big sharp bang,
Exactly.
then it's more likely that all of the waves of compression that have gone through that perfect squeeze. So this is an introduction to the actual physics of the rebirthing literature, which I have actually taught at Rebirthing Centers, Philadelphia, etc. And the profound remothering and rebirthing, it's John Diamond, MD. I suggest you research it. They use a belly of the surrogate mother, a deep breathing to the point of tetany. They use placental extract, and all of that stuff. You know what it is? And actually get underwater. So you deep breathe, get underwater, and all you do, the whole physics of rebirthing is to remember compression. That's what it is. It's like recreate the perfect squeeze, right? So if now we turn to the doctors who are doing all the wrong things to bring that memory through birth, and that's where Kasia comes in. So she's going to talk about the magic of the placenta and about why it is so important not to cut the umbilical cord too soon, and about the magical things you can do with memory through the placenta. So I was just inspired when I heard Kasia talk about those things. So Kasia, please tell us your story. Go ahead. Speak loudly, please.
Okay, yeah. I will try my best.
Okay, speak loud, yes.
Okay, the story started when I was working with myself, actually, about gift thoughts. Maybe I will describe a little bit about this.
Gift thoughts?
Gift from our spirits.
Gift from the soul. Like
Yeah.
Spirit.
Our experience, what we have in our spirits, yes, just like grow up soul, yeah. Because I was like curious what the soul is big, yeah.
The soul.
The soul, yeah.
The
spirit. Maybe it will be easy when you say the spirit, yeah. And I could read memory with contact by heart with people, yeah. That's my gift, yeah.
Look right at the camera when you talk about heart.
Sorry.
They love to see the twinkle in your eye.
And what I discovered, like everybody, like each of us person have kind of different spirits gifts, we can do like mandala squares. Everybody has small pieces to put to the air, but when we learn in the school, we just everybody learn the same stuff. We don't feel ourselves there. And when I start working with people, and I start discover like everybody have slightly different things, yeah, to make full pictures. And I was asking myself, my spirit, I was talking with my friends, why we don't remember these gifts.
Like soul purpose.
Soul purpose, yeah.
Okay.
And then I saw first I did have the session with one girl, what I told you about, like she did feel pain from like her whole life, yeah. And I did read her auras, I did connect to her heart, and we regress to the point when the doctor cut
The umbilical cord.
Yeah, exactly.
So that sort of started the pain.
Yeah, that's my.
That was the trauma.
Yeah, that was the trauma. What
Okay.
she could feel with her energetical body.
So like her pain started there.
Yeah. That's this moment what, and I start like go deeper with the subject, with myself and with my friends, and we discover like the cord between the baby and mother. It's so important because you can see even the shape. It's like vortex.
It's a perfect vortex. There's your black hole wormhole tunnel right there.
Yes, and we did some kind of lots of like session with different kind of people to just remind what's going on over there. And what I told you yesterday is the first step to go to the victimhood, to be like
To feel like a victim.
Exactly, because nobody asks the baby. They won't just cut the cord, isn't it? They don't wait.
They don't ask the baby.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yes.
That's the point as well.
And that's where the baby begins to feel like a victim.
Exactly. Yeah, that's
trauma
what, That's the first trauma what we experience in the mother. And then we went deeper because if you're going like by cord,
You have to dig into the memory.
Yeah, dig in the memory. It's like the placenta grows with the baby. It's not just belong to mother's body. And I start asking my spirit and myself what the placenta is. And what's the information we have in the placenta. And when I connect to the spirit, my and somebody else, when I do healing for them, we can reconnect, rebuild the energetical placenta and make the information to come back to this person. What we are aware about the information what we have in the placenta.
And so maybe give examples then about what it would look like if the birth was done magically and correctly.
That's one girl. She's doing like natural birthing in Poland, and she discovered for a few days in her experience, because she decided to have the baby in home with her husband and with natural way. The baby was so happy with the placenta. The energy was flowing between them. The information was like taken by baby from the placenta. And exactly we can rebuild the energetical contact with our placenta. Everybody can do.
Which is kind of like grounding.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yes, yes.
And another point, what is very important, the placenta have information about this planet. How we can be in love in Mother Earth.
The bonding with the earth, the grounding,
exactly.
yes. So the placenta, the idea then is to leave the umbilical cord until, for some time, so all the energy, and then to actually leave the mother with the placenta as that beautiful oscillation.
Yeah, exactly.
Bonding.
With the baby with the placenta.
Yes,
yeah.
yes. So it's a magical time, even hours or days, as long as.
Yeah. They know how to prepare the placenta. You need to put a little salt to the placenta, but the girls, they usually afraid about the smell, the blood, and all this stuff. It's not true. The placenta don't have smell. It looks like and feels like something magic.
Yeah, it's actually magical. And we were talking about there's a microbiome in the placenta, which, like the microbiome in your guts, can nourish the baby after birth, so the mother doesn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Can relax.
Yeah, and in placenta still you have like 1 liter of the blood.
Blood.
With the blood, yeah. The baby can just take to the body after.
So the mother doesn't have to hurry to nourish the baby, because the baby's relaxed for hours being nourished by the placenta.
Yeah, exactly.
And that creates a bond and a flow, and that affects the whole ability
and the
to bond.
baby have time to take the information, what is important to him for this lifetime, yeah?
Yes.
What the soul purpose it is, yeah?
What the sole purpose.
Yeah.
So we see, and then there's that beautiful tradition about, well, afterwards, if the placenta is planted under a tree, that will be the sole anchor point for the baby, and it's a beautiful.
And the baby decides when the time is to cut off the placenta. It's just like
The baby
That's
will
it,
know.
yeah.
You let the baby decide.
Yeah, exactly.
The baby will know when all that nourishment.
And that's the respect of free will, yeah.
That's right. So even at the moment of birth, the baby makes choices.
Of
It's
course.
a beautiful thing.
Of course,
yeah.
of course. And we need to remember the baby is connected to the source, to the God, yeah. And it's not like a little something what don't have brain and then don't know what it is. It's completely, it's soft and the heart is so open over there. And respect this stuff is so important.
It's like an angel plasma presence comes around
Yeah,
the moment of
exactly.
birth,
Yeah.
which is so blissful. But we need to respect that by understanding how living plasma energy is being passed in this beautiful ritual of birth.
Yeah.
And the problem is that doctors are really noble people in general, but they simply don't understand.
Yeah, I can tell about my experience because I did regression to this moment, and that was so painful. That was like, like squashing
The memory.
squashing the body. And we are not aware about how important it is as well to feel connected to the heart of mother. Because the energy of mother for us is like it's like cocoon of cocoon.
A cocoon,
Cocoon of the love.
Yeah.
For the little baby which is just delivered to the mother earth.
Yeah, the cocoon of love.
Yeah.
And that's why, too, the doctor, in female midwives are sometimes more sensitive, perhaps, but needs to understand that the gentleness by which they feel and touch that child, that actually is so critical at the moment of birth because all of that is felt profoundly by the baby.
Yeah, in Poland still we have tradition to just give the clap in us, what is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's right.
The baby just needs but still we don't need to beat the baby in the first seconds of life,
And so we're recognizing now that there's a bit of a tragedy in that we didn't understand how to bring memory through birth and how to bring that contiguous compression wave of soul. And so I think that's becoming clear to anybody who's really thought about it, realizes that our birthing rituals need a dramatic change. But now let's talk about one other thing too. Let's talk about the epidemic of women who are using too much painkillers and epidurals and cesarean section and what that does. Because
the pain what we have in the body during the process of having the baby is the information when we need to just relax the muscles. And what's going on in the brain, it's like we are scared about the pain because the brain don't want to feel the pain.
Afraid of the pain.
And we should think about this before we start to think about having the baby. Just first learn our body how to relax in the pain position.
So pain is just your body telling you where attention is needed, and it's your friend.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
you deep breathe into it. And all the people who do birthing preparation for birth talk about deep breathing and breathing in pain. But when you really understand it's your pen, then you don't need the painkiller. And the painkiller diffuses the sharpness of attention. And the sharpness of attention is precisely what you need at birth.
So, that's true.
So that's part of the tragedy. And the other part of the tragedy is doctors that rush to cut instead of allowing birth to go through its natural pressure.
And
that's a tragedy.
And what do? They give you shot of the hormones. What is not should be over there because the baby and mother body knows when the time is ready. And when they try to push.
Trying to push, accelerate the birth, that's the mistake. And the hormones
actually, the tragedy starts when the doctors say when will be date of the delivery. Because how he can, I know they can calculate, but you can feel it, the woman can feel it by her intuition when it's time.
When it's time, yes.
And to use the intuition, the things what every woman have inside.
So I mean,
feel it first.
That's beautiful. So our very gentle, we love the doctors, but our suggestion is if your doctor says he's going to schedule a time of birth, you fire that doctor. I mean, ultimately his paycheck comes from you.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if the doctor says he's choosing the time of birth, you said, I want a different doctor. It's
And
pretty
that's
simple.
the pleasure,
Gently
like,
but clear.
pushing what we put on
Yeah.
the baby straight away.
Yeah, that's right. You tell that doctor, no, my baby is going to choose the time of birth. Thank you very much.
And we can communicate with the babies
That's right.
by feeling what's going on inside there.
That's the beauty. And the other thing, just to say, if you have studied the physics, and I do mean the physics of astrology, as I have, you understand that that moment of max compression, if it's done correctly at birth, is literally
Very
electrically
important.
storing the geometry of where the stars are at that moment.
And to put your stars
So,
to your life.
and so your baby needs to make that choice, obviously. Not, unfortunately, your doctor. No, it's not your doctor's choice. It's your baby's. And the other physics we should mention here is, we have taught about how when the Aboriginal woman first feels baby in the womb, she runs to the shaman and they grab a stone and they make a map on that stone.
Yeah, because it's very important when the salt will come out.
Yeah. So the moment the mother's first aware of baby, the shaman and the mother make a map on the stone, a painting of the magnetic lines at that point on the earth where the baby was first felt. And that stone, which is a magnetic map of the land, becomes the title deed to the land to which that child is responsible for lucid dreaming and literally holding those magnetic lines together. And we know, in fact, and that's called Abraxas point. And that Abraxas point also is then served, it's called where the mother returns to her place of birth and gains power, because it's the fractality of embeddability. And it's also where the placenta could be under the tree.
Yeah, exactly.
the return to that bonding point. So you see how all these things fit together. So we need to begin teaching gently and lovingly. We're really not recommending you fire your doctor. No, we're recommending that gently we educate our doctors. We've educated our doctors about dying.
Oh, maybe I should tell about one more thing.
Go ahead, please.
What we do, woman by woman, we talk to each other like that needs to be painful. And we put to our bodies this memory.
Yeah, it's like birth needs to be painful, but it doesn't need to be painful.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the point. Yeah.
Step by step, like we push this memory to next woman and next woman and next woman. That's should be changed. Yeah.
So the emphasis really could be that birth is absolutely blissful. Actually.
Yeah, and I know a few girls in Poland. They experience this, but they're still afraid to talk about this.
Yes.
Because all the medical thing, what is going on in our country and in the world. Yeah.
And it's really true that we misunderstood the energy of orgasm, we misunderstood the energy of bliss, we misunderstood the energy of kundalini. So of course we don't understand the bliss energy of birth.
Yeah, exactly,
but it's all related to what it is. It's the point of maximum compression where all the plasma can implode in that communion experience.
And it's very important to know, like, when the heart is open during the pregnancy, when we are sending the love from the heart to the womb, and we build up the coherence with the baby, what is very important. Yeah?
The connection through the heart.
To the heart. We will have connection to the baby, and during the baby delivery, we can just push the energy from the heart to the stomach, and we don't need to use our muscles, because the energy will gently push out the baby from the stomach.
The relaxation and heart energy. That's beautiful. And that reminds me of the other story you said about why you loved your cat so much. Because this particular cat knew how to do this pressure wave to open the heart. Tell that story. Well, what is that pressure?
Okay, the cat was like doing like very slowly. She just like massaged my heart.
This cat knew how to open the heart.
Yeah, and she used her energy of the heart to push to mine, and it's like squeezing, and I feel like so in heaven because she did know how to open my heart.
Yes.
And it's the same, like we can open the heart for the baby to bring them in the love,
And when Kasia first told that story, she did a lovely motion which said, which said that Kasia understood that it was a compression. She knew just exactly how to squeeze. It's like describing your perfect lover. Well, this one knows how to squeeze.
That's true.
So this whole metaphor has to do with, as Kasia says, heart coherence, and we have a new project there, realheartcoherence.com, for measuring heart opening and heart's bed and real heart coherence. And so when the heart is open, then that line of connection. And you talked about how when things happen, like a pain in the throat or something, it actually disconnects that connection of the head to the heart.
Yeah, that's true.
And that wiring through the body. And when that's all healthy and relaxed, Kasia is saying the natural compression wave will allow the baby to be pushed out beautifully from the energy of the heart without strain, without stress, just relaxing.
Exactly.
And you know, with the plasma therapy, the conductivity of relaxation is the make or break difference between those who succeed with Therify.net plasma therapy and those who didn't get the live blood cell measures.
Yeah, exactly.
Relaxation is...
Yeah, that's the point. And one more thing is what's very important before we start to making the babies, to feel the programs what we get from our mothers, about the pain, the delivery, and just feel in the mental body and just heal it this first, The memory needs to be healed first.
And that's Kasia's other specialty is, it's what about sacred Polish grandmothers is that really going back to the memory of mother and grandmother and finding out where the trauma
is.
And do you do like sessions on that?
Yes,
remember?
I do.
Like even past life memories.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, and so that's how you begin to feel through that vortex.
Exactly.
And that's a beautiful work.
And what I love to do is that's what I told you, to connect to people to the spirit's gifts, what we need to deliver to the earth right now, because the mandala needs to be done to grow.
That's right. And when we have a passage of sacred soul memory and long-term memory through birth, then we can be in touch with soul purpose.
Exactly.
And then the mosaic, everybody's purposes comes together. So unless you can actually relax through those memories, that profound rebirthing, you can't reconnect with that earthing and the soul purpose.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, thank you, Kasia.
Thank you so much.
This has been fun, yes. And we thank you to Dominic, Kasia's partner, who's behind the camera there. Thank you for filming, sir.
Thank you so much.
And we will see you soon. Thank you. Blessings.
Thank you. See you soon.
Okay.
Thank you so much for attention.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Blessings.